Hi spooky friends, welcome to Kelly Does Stuff. Today I'm going to show you how to create realistic sidewalks out of styrofoam. This is a great addition to your Halloween, fall, or even Christmas village display. I like to put these into the trick or treat lane section of my Halloween display. So let's go ahead and get into it.
Okay, for this project, we are using my favorite XPS foam. Now, my personal preference is to have my sidewalks really thin, so I do use a hot wire foam table to achieve this. And I like to create my sidewalks about 2 1/4, 2 1/2 inches wide. Then I measure each section of the sidewalk about 2 inches apart. Using a dull pencil, I score the styrofoam at each of those 2-inch marks. And then don't forget to do the sides. And then using a slightly sharper pencil, I draw cracks into the styrofoam. And what I love about the styrofoam is it just takes the impression of what you put on it. So it's less about drawing here and just creating those impressions, because we're gonna go over it with paint, and with the dry brushing technique, we're gonna get all of those details. And then using a blade, I carve out little notches just to create some more detail to the sidewalk. And it really just depends on the look that you're going for, whether you wanna add these types of details. Next, I roll a rock that is really rough and has a bunch of ridges in it over the styrofoam to create some detail. You can also use some rolled up aluminum foil for this. Now it's time to paint. I covered the entire sidewalk in black acrylic paint. Once the paint is completely dry, we're going to use a dark gray color. And this is a bit of a dry brushing technique, but a heavy dry brushing. So you're still gonna get a fair amount of paint on the brush, because we do want the sidewalk to really be a base gray color, but you're not gonna soak and saturate it like you did with the black paint, because we want that black detail to come through in the little ridges and notches and lines and cracks that you created. So you can see that I dip my brush in the paint and then get a lot of it off and go over the sidewalk. And you can start light with this and always go back in with more layers. Once that's completely dry, you're gonna do a dry brushing of a lighter gray color. And I like to use an older brush for this. The bristles are kind of spread out and rough, so you're not gonna get like big streaks. And you see I dip the brush into the paint, wipe most of it off, and then go over the sidewalk. And we're just now gonna start picking up details. A lot of that darker gray and the black is still gonna shine through in those grooves, but now we're adding the highlights. And then I repeat the process, mixing together white and a light gray. And I'm gonna be a little bit more selective now about where I apply this, kind of focusing on different areas that I really want to add more highlights to. And this is really going to be a very light dry brush. Wipe most of that paint off of your brush. Before we could move on, it was time to take Angel for a walk. No sidewalks for her, and she reminded me that she had a special reminder for all of our spooky friends. Now we're going to apply a dark wash to our sidewalk. We're going to add a little bit of black paint into some water, mix it around, and then dab it onto our sidewalk. Or if you have like a spray bottle, you could put this in the bottle and then spray your piece. This process allows those dark grooves to be even darker, and it really just brings out the detail of the piece before we go in with our final dry brushing highlight. And now we just go in with a paper towel and dab it away. And it's going to remain into all those cracks and grooves. Once that is completely dry, I'm going in with some white now, and this is our final dry brushing. I'm doing the smallest amount of paint on my brush, brushing a lot of it off, and then I'm just going over the edges. I will brush it over the cracks or the grooves, and it kind of outlines the crack. And since it's just a little bit of paint, it won't seep into the indentations and the cracks. And there we have it, spooky friends. Our sidewalk is finished. And you can just create as many of these sections as you need for your display. Speaking of display, let's go ahead and see what it looks like. Thank you all for watching. I hope that you'll subscribe and like this video. Please leave a comment. Let me know if this is helpful and what other types of tutorials you'd like to see. I look forward to seeing you all next time, and happy creating.